Hi, thank you for joining me today. Take a moment and set your space. Perhaps get some nice oil, some aromatherapy, maybe a little bit of sage, Palo Santo, some kind of incense, and come back. Okay, so give yourself a moment. I'm going to let this tractor go by. For today, May 6th, first of all, I want to say we're moving into the full moon. I don't want to do a moon reading because that's not my style, but I do take into consideration that it is one of those times where there's an energy shift. So there's a phase collective shift. Okay. So right now, moving into that phase, we're in a very constructive phase. We're very much renewing strength. There's a lot of things going on. I don't know where you are, but where I am, things are just different. So in San Francisco, I've been in my apartment for I don't know how long. I mean, I go outside, but you know what I'm saying. It's a shift. We're in the middle of something. The whole world is, but energy wise, there's also the regular collective phases that we go through. Those things don't stop when something is happening all over the planet. These things are still affecting us. So for today, May 6th, moving into the full moon, depending on where you are, it might actually already be full, or it might be coming tomorrow or the next day, depending on where you are on the planet, right? So there's the date, but then there's when the moon is actually full. So you'll have to check on a moon calendar for your location in order to get an accurate time, okay? The rune that I pulled for today is called Hagal, and I'll try and show it like I always do, but maybe that worked. I don't know. There you go. Anyhow, so I say so a lot lately. I'm trying to stop. So. Okay. If we're in this phase of renewing strength and we're moving into the full moon phase, which is definitely, I call it prismatic, but what that actually means is there's a lot of energy coming at us. It might be coming from different areas than we're used to, and our energy is projecting out in a different way. So the exchange shifts, and it shifts for a certain amount of time. That's the phase, right? So this particular rune is generally pretty impersonal. This rune being so impersonal, it points out that something outside of our control is going to come into play. But isn't that kind of where we are right now? So when I pulled the rune, loud sound outside. When I pulled the rune, it was a big duh moment. Like, isn't that where we are? And then I sat with it, and what it's saying is that more people will become connected to the idea that the unknown is part of their life. This is generally pretty positive, although fairly impersonal, right? This rune is pointing out that we are starting to become more familiar with the unfamiliar, and that a greater amount of people are becoming aware that this is something that they're working with in their life. This to me means that this is a beginning point, that we could look at this as a beginning point. One thing you have to understand with runes is that they are meant to point something out within you. So whatever it is that I say, the things that resonate, pay attention to what you notice. Pay attention to what locks on. So if it feels like a beginning point to you right now, run with that. With the full moon, watch all the things that are becoming more illuminated, maybe the newer things, or something from your past that is now showing you a different reflection. That's what's happened for me, and I feel like this is not a bad thing to share. I feel as though a lot of people might start to go through that, and it might be a very unfamiliar thing. So it's out there. It's out there. It might be a little surprising, which I think is really cool, as long as we don't judge it. While the full moon is going on, after You go through a couple more hours of constructive, not constructive criticism, the constructive in the sense of renewing strength. Pay attention to what shows up, but don't make any decisions. Try not to make any decisions. This is not a good time for that. Another thing that came up with this rune is that it can indicate an interruption. An interruption isn't necessarily a bad thing. An interruption that just might be a catalyst for a big shift, which you've been waiting for, you just didn't understand, or you did understand, but the unknown has been such a part of your life that the signs are just now starting to form. Again, back to that same starting point. Starting point doesn't mean action point. So sit with it. Sit with it. Okay, that's what I have for you today about the rune. A couple of things I want to share with you is my podcast, my online store, and a yoga class. Okay, so my podcast is called Hungry for Apples, and the one that I posted yesterday is about how to chill out, and I go over the five simple ways that I've chosen to share how to chill out, and they're pretty simple. You can do them in quarantine for sure. Some take more time than others, so keep that in mind. Okay. My online store. I am starting to sell ritual items to help your journey. Artwork, runes, not runes, but rune cloths I'm making. I have moon cards. I have crystal grid sets. I'm going to have crystal grid boards eventually and cloths to do crystal grids on. I will put the link to the store. I call it the Faern Marketplace just in general, but I'll put it in the description of this video. Okay, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, right, the softening practice. I think that you'll like this. If you're into what I'm talking about in these videos here on this channel, go to my yoga channel, which I'll also link in the description, and there's a class there called a softening practice, and it's yoga-ish. Okay, it's not really a bunch of asana, but it's definitely there to help you be in the space that you're carving out for your now, which is very important in this upgrade that we're all going through. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye.